An American transgender woman is seeking asylum in Canada for fear of persecution under the Trump administration. Hannah Krieger is one of many transgender Americans who have turned to Canada for refuge since the Trump administration passed a series of laws targeting transgender and non-binary people. The latest numbers from Rainbow Railroad, a nonprofit group, shows that more than 3,000 requests have come from Americans this year, marking more than 1,000% increase. That's compared to just last year. So we're joined this morning by Hannah Krieger and Yamina Ansari, immigration lawyer. Good morning to you both. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
Hannah, I'll start with you. When we look back at what brought you to this country, I'm guessing it started during Trump's inaugural speech earlier this year, where he made a point of narrowing in on the trans community. I want to play that as a reminder for our viewers, and then you and I will discuss out of it.
As of today, it will henceforth be the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female.
When you heard that and the cheering that went along with it, what went through your mind and how did it play into your decision to eventually come to Canada and claim asylum?
Well, it was definitely like a precedent setting just for like where they were going to go with their future policies in mind. So it started, it's like a very slow effect, snowball over time. Like it started, just with the legal change, and then over time they're going to introduce more and more harmful stuff. I just saw it coming, and I was keeping a close eye on everything. And then as things got worse, I made the choice. I saw a window that was closing. I figured just because there were passports with X markers being confiscated and not returned, which mine does have. So I saw that and heard those stories pop up, and I was like, okay, I might not be able to get my documents updated correctly, so I'm just going to use what I have and just get out as soon as possible. And then we had a window that I thought was going to be closing soon, so I went for it. I didn't really feel any other choice in that moment.
It's a huge decision to make, to leave behind friends and family and community and settle in a new place and then claim asylum. I want to remind everybody, you're talking about what's been happening in the last 6 months. Here are just some of the executive orders that have been put in place by the Trump administration that specifically target the trans community. The Trump administration has passed executive orders that only recognize two genders, male and female. They placed a ban on DEI federal programming, a ban on transgender military members from serving, and a ban on trans men from women's sports. So if you can for us, can you describe what it's been like for you living in the United States in these last 6 months?
A lot of tension just in day-to-day life. My scope kind of went from exploring and like having a lot of just like fun going down and doing stuff that I'm 22 years old, stupid stuff that you do when you're 22 years old, 21, that before he got sworn in. And then now it's like, okay, I know my work is safe, I can go there. I know my home is safe, I can go there. I have a friend's house who's safe, I know that. And then it would just be like a cycle of like, okay, what do I know is safe to do right now that would not be like a risk or a confrontation? Obviously, confrontation is always a thing, no matter what. Even before Trump got sworn in, that was always a risk. But it's basically being enabled by this administration. I don't trust them to back up anybody who's being harmed by these policies right now, or protect them.
You mean
they're instigating it as well, so it's scary.
Yeah. Yamina, I want to bring you in on this conversation. You have represented other members of the community before from several countries. But since this case is an American seeking asylum in Canada, what factors work into a successful case of asylum here?
Something that I'm really, really glad about is that the media is reporting heavily on her case, because in Canada, we do have this impression of America being a safe country. And I think this is a concern that I have, is when Hannah discusses her case, that the member evaluating her case is not going to be open to the idea that America is no longer safe to the trans community. So I'm hoping that by the time her case is heard, that narrative and mindset really shifts in the general Canadian public, and also within the folks who will be hearing her case, realizing that now that Trump has been elected in his second term, the situation in America has really shifted from what it was before and historically.
And the bar is a fear of persecution for your personal safety or even death in past cases. We know that. Hannah, you're here on an asylum claim. We know that you're unable to work. You have a GoFundMe page to help raise some money for your case. Since this could take up to 2 years, what will you do if your claim is not approved?
Well, it depends on if it's safe to go home or not. If I get denied because it genuinely is safe to return, I would love that. First of all, as much as I want this case to go well for me and I want to stay here because I like it here, and obviously I don't feel safe at home right now, but if the tide does turn and it is safe to return in 2 years, I think it'd be a net positive, because that means that people at home aren't in danger, and that's all I want. If it feels like it's just like because of agreements between countries kind of thing, and it doesn't feel like it's actually safe to, doesn't actually feel safe to return, I'll appeal the decision. But I'm not gonna if it's still finalized, I'll either find an alternative or I'll return if absolutely have to. But I'm playing this by ear. I'm gonna cross that bridge when I burn it. Hannah, I'm just going as I go and trying to make sure I'm treading as carefully as I possible with this.
Yeah, I know it's a really difficult time, and I appreciate you coming on to share your story with us. Can you describe for us, Hannah, what it's been like for you since landing in Canada? How have you felt since you've been here?
I've been able to actually process information clearly. It's been nice being able to do that. I can actually just think about what's going on and not really just wake up dreading what the headline is going to be that's going to maybe affect me or make it life impossible or worse, which is huge. I am really nervous about just the safety of all of trans people in the States going forward. The bills have been nonstop. It's been overwhelming. So it's been able to just keep an eye on it without really the stress of being directly hit by it, and just being able to just look at everything and make sure, from a level perspective, it's been, it's still really sad, but it helps me look at it clearly and kind of give me a path to push for, which has been nice. But again, that doesn't take away from the problems. It just makes me able to not stress about being able to wake up, which is a huge upgrade, I would say.
It's a lot to carry. Hannah Krieger, I want to thank you for coming on this morning, and Yasmina Ansari, immigration lawyer. Appreciate your time as well.
Thank you for having us.
If you like that video, make sure to subscribe to the Your Morning YouTube feed, where you can find all kinds of new content posted every weekday morning.